Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Cryptic Gaming. I hope you've been having a wonderful week. So the weekend is almost here. I'm going to invite everybody to join into the Banished Souls Discord community. That is the group that I typically play with. When I'm playing in groups, I do a lot of solo farming as well. Because right now I've been working on my pass, or I'll say my pass. I've been working on my Helm. Now, I do need to kind of switch gears here, and I'm encouraging you to switch gears with me when it comes to what you're farming now. Obviously in the past I've been kind of really pushing the Helm pretty heavy. We are 17 days away from the new season to come out. Okay, for those of you new to the game who don't know what that means it is time to stop spending eights on a lot of frivolous things and to start really kind of concentrating on saving some, and of course you can spend them on some targeted things, but you really need to start grinding out. So this is going to be a great weekend for you to join into the Discord, especially with it being Friday. Friday nights we have our large, even on the weekends and throughout the week, but Friday nights are our large server raids, the largest server raids we typically have, which will we end up taking over entire servers and coming in and farm every event, a lot of bosses. We do a lot of Mega Fort, because Mega Fort's going to get you pieces of 8 the quickest. It's going to be able to get you some of those other types of items that you're going to need as well. Looks like we have a player who's popped in over here. But it's going to be pretty awesome as far as getting that stuff saved up for you new players, or maybe you've come in here as well recently. Now, what I do recommend is saving your copper bars, okay? Your copper bars, copper bars, however you want to pronounce it. As you go into Blackwood, I know in the past we've told you, make sure you're not spending it on frivolous stuff. And here's why. I want to show you something. So this is some stuff right here. It says already owned on these items, okay? Now, why would it already be owned? Because these actually came available in a convoy and ended up grinding it out of a convoy. And that's one of the things that you're going to also see. What's in the store comes into convoys later. Maybe not during that season, but later on. Everything that's in these convoys this year and this season was stuff that people paid $20 for last year. So something to think of. The furnitures that they have in here, as far as the seasonal items, these are great furnitures. I would bypass the Electo, but I don't like bow weapons. As far as like just a dedicated bow weapon, I've got no use for them personally. That may change later in the game. Nocturne Heart, decent armor. You can get blueprint, things like that as well. What you're going to want to start doing is start grinding a lot of this stuff here, these weapons and things like that. You can buy the blueprint, so you need to start looking at running those monsters, the sea monsters that are out there, and getting those mega teeth, or the monstrous teeth that they have, because you can buy most of these blueprints over at Lenitra. So I do recommend it. You're looking at anywhere between 50 and 75 of those teeth per blueprint. And once you have them, it's a lot better off on you. Now, as far as ship blueprints, if you don't have them yet, I would recommend picking up some. I would definitely recommend getting a bark, because it's a great solo ship as well. The brig, I personally have never been real big on it. I have one. I'd use it to pick up 8s. I didn't never bother taking up to level 15. I know there's a lot of guys that use this thing and they have it up to level 15 and they swear by it, and that's great. For me, it's just not for me in my gaming style, but that's up to you how you want to do that, guys. So saving up pieces of 8, and here's why. When you come over to your ship right over here and you start upgrading ships, if you're upgrading a small ship like the Badar and you want to take that all the way to a 7 of 7 upgrade, like what I've done with my little ship over here, you're looking at about 50 to 55,000 pieces of 8 for a complete upgrade on this thing. Now, while that sounds like a lot, it's really not a lot if you have an entire season, because you got a 3-month period to get these things up. Now, if you're new to the game, you don't have the route of gaining access to these things the way that I do. So some things I do want to recommend that you do here in the end days of this pass is, if you do not have this aspect of the Helm completed, I do recommend that you do it, because you could actually finish this off this weekend if you join up with us at Banished Souls. That's the gaming community that I play with, guys. Did they have more than just Skull and Bones? I think they're playing like Hell Divers, Hell Let Loose, War of Thunder, all kinds of games over there. So if that's something you're into, is gaming, and you're looking for people to game with, I definitely recommend coming over. I believe Tactical Turtle's handling a lot of those war gaming type games and stuff right now, Hell Divers and stuff. He's really been doing a great job of keeping events running for that and all. And then, of course, we have our big weekend events here in Skull and Bones. But understand, you can join up with people at any time during the week. There's almost always a group in chat going on. And we've seen where it'll go from 2 or 3 guys starting to farm to an entire full-blown server raid with just in the middle of the week, depending on what people's work schedules are. So something to remember. Now, upgrades, I'm going to have that invite link down there in the comments for you guys. And make sure that you touch base. Say hi to, hey, how's it going, Cryptic, or whatever, so I can see that you got your invite, that you made it over. But also make sure that you send out a shout out to Why So Serious. He is the Discord leader over there. He is the man who makes all that stuff possible over there. He's the guy who's been making sure that that Discord has stayed alive for we're going on, year and a half now over here, and it's going great. Been kicking awesomely. I do a lot of recruiting to help, fill the ranks and things, but man, him and his team, they're the guys who keep it going. So make sure that you thank everybody over there as well. So the Helm, I do recommend when you're here. Now, I know in the past I've told you about the the Helm Empire, getting this stuff done. Well, if you're coming in here and you don't have this done yet, you just have where you can do this, you need to get the Helm itself. This is where your laboratories and things are going to be at. This is what's going to allow you to, one, pick up different type materials to make in your factory and at your distillery. It's going to allow you to run different types of contracts, I guess you would call it. It's little contracts, little selling orders and things like that. It's going to give you the most pieces of 8 for them as well. So here's the improved laboratory equipment. Then, of course, we have increased the amount of raw materials available for taking with plundering forts. So if you're plundering forts for those like I do, that's a great way of doing some things. Add a 30% chance of additional items when you're building things in a laboratory. Then, of course, you have like Talok's Panjar's Favor. Then, of course, you have your improved distillery. You want to finish all of this top tree, and it is not expensive to do this. You can actually grind this out in a weekend pretty easy. But I'm going to show you why you want to get that, because even if you're not able to come in and grind a lot of forts and things like that, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not on, or when I'm on, there's not a lot of folks online. Something you're going to want to do is come over here to the supply network, and I'm going to show you the steps. So the supply network here, we're going to explain it without all the actual doing. So supply deal roving, make sure it says roving. Run those 3. When you go out, there will be a Helm liaison. Sync them. It's going to give you those materials for the contracts. You can carry 3 contracts, especially if you're at a medium ship. Smaller ships, you might become over encumbered depending on what it is you're picking up over there. So you're going to pick those up. I don't bother with these because this costs silver. I do not bother with buying on the island. I always run roving so I can sink the ships, and I save my silver that way, guys. Okay, then you would bring those materials over here to your distillery or the laboratory, which is in Talok Panjara. If you've seen where you needed Nara's at over La Pont La Mouette, there's a area once you become a kingpin, just to the right of her, looks like a giant keg or whatever, or a cask. You walk in, that's the entrance to get over here, or you can fast travel holding that R1 button once you become a kingpin. So these materials here, I'm going to take and I'm going to say, okay, so I want to get these up to White Skull product first. Then, of course, Gold Skull product is that final rendition here of what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule these up. Now, you're going to need silver to bring this stuff up. So to do 3,200 of these, which will make about 1,500 of the Gold Skull product in the end, it costs 16,000 silver. Now, you may be going, well, that seems like a lot of silver. Well, that same amount is going to turn you a profit of around 160,000 silver. So you're going to be better off, even if you're just selling your early stages of it. So we're going to go ahead and we get these queued up. And I keep this stuff running every day, coming in and just kind of doing this. Now, this is going to give you the opportunity to sell those products to Skurlock, the rum products and the gin products. And Gold Skull sells higher than White Skull, but you can still sell the White Skull as well. And that is how we used to actually fund doing our factories back in the day, guys. For those who aren't aware of that, that's how we used to supplement our silver. Now, you're going to be tempted to say, you know what, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sell this stuff that I'm producing for pieces of 8. I don't bother doing that. You have, again, orders that say roving. Make sure it's roving. You're going to pick up these orders. Do not load the Gold Skull product on your ship. Okay, you're going to go out to this location. You're going to have to travel. You're not going to be able to fast travel. You're going to have to sell. So one of the things that I've noticed is if you approach the southern basin, which is typically where your roving missions for this delivery is going to be, it's going to pay 630 pieces of 8 when you get there, and 420 pieces of 8 for this contract as well. So you're looking at over 1,000. You can run these every hour. Some of these things you can end up getting 1,200, 1,300, just depending on what order roving has showed up. And you sync that liaison, just like you did when you're picking up materials. You sync that liaison, you grab the pieces of 8, then you turn right around and you head over to the Grand Fillets, which is just to the left of that location. So this is the Grand Fillets here. Right here is where that mission is going to be. But you're going to travel in from St. Anne typically and just come straight across. This is the shortest route, but you're going to run into a lot of Helm rogues over this way. Now you can, I have come in from Talat, picked it up Talat and come down, but what I've noticed is there's just not quite as many. It's longer, but there's not quite as many Helm rogues that pop up. And you want to be getting those tobacco leaves and that sugar cane and stuff like that to continue. Every time you sync a Helm liaison, you're going to end up basically ticking them off, and it puts a mark for death on you. Now, if you don't like traveling around with a mark for death, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that real quick. Now, you have to come up, like I said, if you did like I instructed you, and you come up here and you completed this Helm mission here, there is a event here called, let's see which one it is here, fellas. Yeah, so Gang Butcher. So every time you come in and you run a rogue hunt, it's going to remove 30 minutes of that death mark. Okay, if you're wondering, well, what is a rogue hunt? Well, if you've opened that up, you're going to come over here to supply network. Again, that's that Helm, the Helm tree up at the top, not Helm Empire going down, go straight up. When you come to attacks, you're going to see rogue hunts. Now, rogue hunts, you can pick up again materials. You're not just going to get these materials like the poppy and the sugar cane from them. You're also going to pick up materials that you need for ships and even weapons and things like that in the game. Now, obviously, you guys have come in and now they have where it's no longer just worm's breath. They have a lot of different types of, these will actually be refined into greater and greater and greater things. But this is where you're going to get the basic materials. This is a great way to do it. You just load up a rogue hunt, and here you're going to be able to pick up your juniper berries, your raw imperial jade, tobacco leaves, etc., etc., etc. For each of the fleet types you destroy, like this one here is a worms fleet. When you destroy those ships, it's going to drop the poppy, but it's also going to drop worm's breath. Then whenever you come up and you say running Orca's fleet, so you're going to get the juniper berries, but you're also going to get Orca mechanisms. Now, they'll have eels fleets and so on and so forth, which will drop eels twine and things like that. So you're going to have to reset those. And then you have your plunders, which will be like Haramal, running Deuster a lot of times, Fort de Lis, and just depending on how many different types of forts you end up. You may get like this in here, will be 2 of them, so you get 440 juniper berries and raw imperial jade there. So what you would want to do is load both those up before you even went to Deuster. That way, when you did Deuster one time, it paid it off twice. I do recommend doing that as well. And the reason you're doing this stuff, guys, is because you can come into, say, you're going to get silver selling that stuff to Scarlock or Rema, and then you're going to be able to use this order registry. And if you really want to, now I did in the early stages sell standard orders. Now, I don't typically wait for a standard order to appear on the opposite end of the map. What I typically do is, let me go to our main map menu here. I typically wait for a standard order to appear, like if I'm having to travel out here to just off the Grand Fillets, I'll wait for the standard order to appear over here at the Dutchman's Camp, or even like up here at the Forgotten Candy or something like that, or sometimes they'll pop up a Concoct or a Pong. And what that is I'll come out and I'll have all my contracts at one time, which causes a lot of the fleets to pop in, those Helm fleets. You sink them coming across the water, sink these, grab your pieces of 8 and come up, and then you can sell some materials if you want to and get some additional pieces of 8. I don't sell anything anymore. What I've discovered is sell it for silver and just farm the 8s, and you can wash and repeat that. I think it's every hour that those reset. It could be every half hour, but I believe it's every hour. At least it used to be. So those are some great ways to get pieces of 8 as well. Now this weekend, like I say, man, hit that link. Don't be ashamed to ask for help in there. Everybody that plays this game at some point has teamed up, and most of us still team up. That's just the way it is. So we run this Mega Fort Houston. This is going to get you the 2,000 to 2,200 pieces of 8. We typically run it in Tier 2. You may be going, yeah, but I'm not high enough level to do that. You don't have to be. We have healers, dedicated healers, and we'll place you in the group with a healer so they can watch what's going on. There'll be a dedicated healer in that large group. You're talking, 15, 16, 17 ships. All you're doing is sneaking a shot. You're going to be in there with a guy that's high DPS. You're going to be in there with a guy that's a healer. That way, when we're sinking stuff, you're still getting rewards. But get you some shots in it. That's going to get you the experience points or smuggler points that you need to progress. And you can typically fill out your pass in one evening if you're farming with us, guys. This just goes that quick. I mean, you're going to be able to knock out your pass. You're going to be able to get into your schooner, blueprints, and things like that. You're going to love the schooner. Right now, in my opinion, the schooner is the most versatile ship in the game. Now, while I have every ship in the game, and that's something that you're going to want to get eventually, understand right now, 17 days left in this pass. You need to be saving up your H. You need to be saving up your Kufa bars. You need to be saving up your Ascension modules and all of your upgrade parts and all that kind of stuff for the large ships that are fixed to come in. Now, unless they have a rank limit before you can get into a large ship, that I don't know, but you're going to be a kingpin in no time farming with us on one weekend. That's all you're going to have to do is come in, farm with us, but you got to be there. You don't have to speak in voice chat. I do recommend that when you join the Discord group that you at least load it up on your cell phone or your computer, even if you're not comfortable chatting with strangers. That's fine. You don't have to. But you want to be able to hear the chat because there's a lot of great conversation, people having fun, which will probably draw you in anyway. But then there's also those things where we're calling out if you need a heal, or we're calling out what it is we're doing next. We're coordinating at the game through that. We do not use in-game chat because, quite frankly, in-game chat has always been so buggy. It's not reliable. So this is what we end up using is our Discord chat. Now, when it comes to adding friends, we are a cross-platform, meaning that we play PlayStation, Xbox, and PC games. When it's cross-platform games, it allows us all to play together. We do that. If it's PlayStation-only game or an Xbox-only game, you got people on Xbox playing, you got people over at PlayStation playing. So don't let that deter you. There's groups, people from every group there, and then there's games that allow you all to group up. The best way to add them, if you do not know, you can do it from the title menu, or you can come over here to this non-pause menu, load up your Ubisoft Connect. It's going to bring up a friends list. Type in capital C Cryptic Gaming 723. That is gaming with an N, no G at the end. And add me on there. That's going to make it so that you can join in. Now, what I do ask is that after you join me in server, that you bounce out of the group unless we're farming together and you're on my farm group. Usually I travel alone. The reason for that is, yes, I get a kind of a cost reduction, or not a cost reduction. I get a reduction of the materials that I'm able to come in, bringing into myself, because you get a boost when you're farming with teams, guys. You really do. But typically I'm traveling alone or just with one person or something like that. The reason for that, with a healer or something, that way I can make sure the healers are getting some stuff if they're not able to, get a shot in on things. The reason for that is it leaves a spot open so people within the Discord can join over, get in the server, and then once you come in the server, all of the ships that we're traveling with, make sure that you add those guys. Once you are in a server with everybody, you can look at them through your spotter scope and add them to your friends list that way. And I do recommend that you do that. Okay, so I think I have covered most everything on that as far as that aspect. Like I say, when it comes to, I can come up here and show you what a load of the Helm materials would sell for up here at Skurlock. I don't really need silver. I think I'm like 139 million silver or something like that. But when you start rolling out your weapons, what we mean by rolling is you ascend them, and then you have to do these rolls, and it costs you materials. It costs you upgrade parts, but it also costs silver. It gets super expensive. So until you have an established helm, like I just told you how to establish, you're going to be struggling to keep silver coming in sometimes, guys, because it gets really expensive really quick. One set of weapons for a ship could cost you 3 or 4 million silver. That's not including the other materials that you need to upgrade those things. For some of those like lightning weapons, you need the claws and stuff. So then you're having to come in and either farm monster teeth so you can buy a claw every hour, or go and farm the heir to the throne or something like that. So we're going to come over here, we're going to go to sell, and then we're going to do what's called a cycle inventory. If you look at the bottom right hand corner, right now we're selling off the ship. I can press Y on Xbox, triangle on PlayStation, and it now loads up what's in my warehouse, and I can come up and I can sell all kinds of great things to him. One of the things, the only thing I typically will sell to him is my gold skull products. I saved my white skulls. I got to find them on here, guys. But I will sell him gold skull products. So let's see, right here we've got it's like 11,643 of these here. So I could say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and sell my gin. So I'm going to click here, I will sell it all. That's going to give me 2,910,000. Boom, right there. That's a nice chunk of change. That's going to be a great aspect to have on there. Now, as you're building this stuff up, you're going to see that you're going to reach a point where you don't have to sell as often. And so like this gin here, it would sell a little over 5 million, but that's because there's 20,000 there. But they're selling for 250 silver a piece. Now, there may be some materials in here that you see, military relics. I save these. The reason I save these, folks, is because you use those for buyouts, but you can sell them. They sell pretty high. I mean, capital relics. I mean, I've got enough of these capital relics from running Houston that I could sell the crap out of these things at 763 a piece. So there's what, 3 of these here. Then there's the military relics here. These sell at 806. I've got 695. These come from running forts, DMC forts like Deuster and things like that you run to get those helm materials. That's how much I run this. There's 695. So I could come in here and I could sell that, and that would be another, 560,000 that I could end up getting out of that. But I do recommend that you save these. Try to save this stuff, and all of your, your frankincense and stuff, they're used in buyouts, which means you can, even if you don't need the territory and it's already upgraded and you do a buyout, it's going to give you 450 pieces of 8. So that's a great avenue. Typically when you log in, it's going to say buyout is available. So if you're wondering what missions are currently available on the map, when you go to your map button, press right on the D-pad, and that brings up all of the missions that are currently up there. So you have Verse Remorse. It's got no one involved in it, so you say 0 of 20. Course of Havoc, again, it looks like someone has called for help there. So there's 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to call on that call for help. It doesn't show how many people are actually in that one, unfortunately. William Blackwood, so it looks like Acquire Kufer Bars. He's always going to be up there. And then, of course, Freeman's Lost Treasure. This is another one there. If there was a buyout opportunity up there or something, it would show up a big red or a big green hand for a buyout. But you can always jump over to your Helm, zoom out, and it's going to show everything as well. Bottom left hand corner, how many seconds is left before your next Helm reset. Now, when a Helm resets, what that means is you're going to get new takeover opportunities. You may get buyouts. You may end up getting what they call a cutthroat cargo. I do recommend running those. If it's you and a buddy, you can both set up on it. It only allows 2 people in there, and you could both load up, and maybe you let him get it this time and you get it next time, or you could go in there and join up. It's very rare to actually run into somebody who's going to run that, but typically what you're doing is you're getting 500 Kufer bars, around 400 to 500 on one of those, about 400 or 500 pieces of 8 running one. Typically I join them if I'll wait till like the last few seconds before I join, because I usually leave it for the new people who are actually needing stuff. So it looks like they are actually running Megafort Houston right now, which is a great thing. So as you can see, that just resets. So now you have what is called a hostile takeover. Now I have this territory all the way to a 4 currently, okay, which means I would have to spend 10,000 pieces of 8 to get it to a 5. So I've maxed out the ability to rank that up by conquering hostile takeover. So I no longer make 900 pieces of 8. I only get paid 450. If you're a level 1 or a 2 and you're running it and you're already on that, you're going to get 900 pieces of 8, plus it's going to bring you up another level. But it is a PvP hostile takeover, and they do pay the best, by the way. Then they have what is called a hostile takeover, which is solo. So only one person can join this. As you can see, this is the territory again that I have. It's of rank 4. I can't rank that up anymore without actually paying pieces of 8. So therefore, it only pays me 175 pieces of 8 to conquer that. So typically, what I end up doing is I leave these for the new folks, and I'll wait till there's no time left on the clock. And if no one's joined in this, I'll join. Now, there is a person who's joined one of 3. You can join that and go fight them for that if you want to. Typically, here in Tier 1, what I'm seeing is these are new people coming into the game, and I don't typically jump in there. Now, I might go scout the location if I'm looking to test out a ship. And if you're up around pretty close to the level of 13 or higher on your ship, I'm going to jump in and test out my builds on you a lot of times. And again, over here, some more hostile takeovers. This is a legendary heist. They pay 900, I believe, until you get all your territories gathered up, or you own everything and got it ranked up. But you're looking at 450 pieces of 8 once you have those all to level 4s and stuff, and you own those territories. So you're going to get 450 off of that. If you don't own it, or you're just coming into it and you own it but you don't have it ranked out yet, you should get paid to 900. It's either 900, 990, I forget exactly which. It's essentially just a convoy. Sink the main ship, grab it, and then you would actually haul to Talak or to St. Anne, depending on which one it's marked for you. Used to, it did not matter. It does matter now. The legendary heist will always show here. When you join, it may launch you over here. It may actually launch you down in here. It could potentially launch you over here, or it might even put you over here. It just doesn't matter where it puts you. Just wait in the area for it to come. This is not the area that the legendary heist is actually going to come onto the map. Now, they used to have it where it would actually come up, and most folks would only run it when it was like right here below Talak or right over here below this. But they've just now put it in where it shows up here. It should put what type of territory you're going to get if you don't own the territory that's available. And then if you do own the territory, it's going to show that it pays out pieces of 8, just so you're fully aware of that. But again, this is a great way to get those pieces of 8. So I do run those on occasion. I do like to run a lot of times these hostile takeovers if there's nobody in it. But most of my piece of 8 grinding solo, and the reason I do this stuff solo is they drop quicker. It's not that I'm not wanting to be sociable or whatever, but whenever you're in a group, everything scales, which means it takes more shots. I can actually farm out this rotation of these 4 events here, and if it's just me running it and I'm not in a team, now that's not to say that you don't show up and get a shot in. That's cool too. You know, if you see me running on the thing, you'll see where I'm popping up because I'm on your friends list. Just jump over and get you a shot. You're gonna have to get your shot pretty quick because usually I'm just farming these things out real quick and just dropping pieces of 8. The amount of time it takes to run a full set, by the time you get down here to the show of strength, this one here is reset and you can then come back up and hit again. Now, I have gotten where I'm pretty proficient at running these, and we'll have a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll jump into a hostile takeover, or maybe I'll jump into a legendary heist or something like that, or a buyout or whatever, or maybe I'll go run a monster event or something. Just throw something in there to grab some more 8s. But I could actually average, within a 15-minute period, I could average about 6,200 pieces of 8 in a 15-minute period, which is what it's going to take you in World Tier 2 to farm Mega Fort Houston, between 10 to 15 minutes to run it, and you get 2,000 pieces of 8 versus 6,000. So don't let people convince you that Tier 1 is not worth running. Now, you're going to get pieces of 8. You're not going to get those Ascension modules and things that you want. But if you load up in World Tier 2, you come in at the Grand Fillets in the DMC ships here, you're going to sink these. Just scope them out. When you look at them, you'll see that they'll have an ascended weapon. Just sink the ones with ascended weapons. Stay away from Shadow Legion. Or Shadow Fleets. They don't have anything you want. So cannonballs, that's it. If you want the cannonballs, go for it. You're going to spend more cannonballs sinking one than you're going to be able to actually get from him. So I recommend sticking to the DMC ships. If they engage on you, then yeah, you'll have to sink them. But sink the DMC ships, pick up those weapons, whether they are ascended or not. It doesn't matter. You got a greater chance of getting an Ascension module out of an ascended weapon, but it's not actually required. You can do that here in Tier 1. I come down here and I'll farm out Tier 1 a lot of times. I'll just travel in. Like I say, as I'm coming through, if I see there's a weapon on the ship, I sink it, and then I'll take it. I'll go over here to the blacksmith. I'm going to show you this in the video here, guys. But you want to take all those weapons, whether they're ascended or not, and you're going to bring them to your blacksmith, and there's a salvage option over here. And while you have a greater chance of getting ascension modules out of ascended weapons, you can drop them out of a non-ascended as well. So I probably need to go farming again, but like I say, I don't bother with C-Fire weapons. So we got a couple upgrade parts there. Let's see what else we've got. Again, I'm selective about what I'm deleting. I don't want to delete anything I may use. I don't use Demi Cannon 3s. I will hang on to those Skurlocks because it may not be something you use, but I do recommend that you hang on to some of that stuff, especially if it's 2s and 3s that are like Ascension modules on some of it, because it may end up long guns. They used to be overpowered. Now they've kind of come in here and they've really reduced a lot of the stuff. And then you can see where like I'm working on a few little odds and end things, just playing around with some stuff or earning some weapons and things as well. Got 1,000-year monsoons. I've had these since last year. I don't use them. Mons Mag 3, I can build these. Had them since last year. I don't use them. The Hong Ying Pao, I actually do use that for a couple of my ship builds, mostly for PvP though. It helps to give that taunted effect. But now you can add taunt to your weapons and things. So again, it's not something I use very often. But you're going to come in and just kind of do that. Now, like I say, World Tier 2, you're looking at level 12 ships. If you take and you build your Badar, if you've checked out my video on what it is that I've got, this Badar will actually single shot, meaning just ramming. If you ram into a level 12 ship on Tier 2, you're going to kill it. But that is fully ascended, 7/7 upgrades. And then, of course, the weapons, that's negligible what you want to put on it. I'm running those Lang Cartuis or whatever they're called. And I'm also running the Kleins on the side, which add that extra imminent boom delay on there. But also the furniture is what makes this ship the best. Iron cladding station, the rope blocker that gives acceleration, secret cache 1 that's going to help with your turning and your acceleration. Lead kettle, this is going to help with that flooding effect. Light and mast helps with acceleration. And then, of course, the balance mast. Yes, you can run both. Used to you couldn't, now you can. So increasing the acceleration. This ship, you just want to be able to ram them. You can two hit a level 20 with this thing and throw a barrage off to the side with your Kleins. And it does a great job sinking a level 20. Now, you're not going to come in and take no fort walls with it unless you're building like a front weapon that's basically for siege. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. This is for ship to ship. This is not really for taking out fort walls. You can take down some of the towers and stuff here in Tier 1. You're going to struggle with this ship in a Fort Houston wall takeover. So you're going to have to make sure. Now, you're going to be able to dodge around the mortars coming at you pretty easy and help clean up the ships that are coming in. It does a great job of ramming those level 20 sharpshooters that pop in. That's mostly what I use this for, is crowd control, to come in and deal specifically with those, but any other ship that comes in as well, I'll take it. I'll take a stab at. But typically, if I'm not running this, I'm running that schooner build, which takes out walls and everything. It's just a fantastic build. But I do recommend giving a Badar a chance. If you don't have a fully ascended ship or something, you look for something cheap, that's not too expensive. But really, your 8s are better spent on a schooner, because the schooner, you're going to be able to do everything. It's the most versatile ship in the game currently. That's not to say it will be coming into Season 2 when large ships get here. We'll just have to wait and see what that is. But I hope this video has helped inspire you. I hope it's helped to give you some pointers on, one, getting prepared for next year. Typically 20 days, going within 20 days at the end of a pass coming into a new season, you need to pull off and start saving your materials and start saving all of your currencies and stuff, because you're going to want to come in and be able to buy all of the stuff that Blackwood's now giving you, because all of this seasonal stuff, the great stuff in the game that we've been able to access all season, guys, the Mark of the Wolf, that Ramrod Workshop, Breechlock Furnace, these are amazing furnitures, and it's been available all season. Next season, it's going to be a whole new setup. It's going to be another setup of great weapons. Like I say, you're going to have these major furnitures. You're going to have minor furnitures, and then of course, just some really great options to look into. And then all this stuff that's currently up here, if you didn't have a chance to get it, or maybe you want some more later on, it will start popping through the time limited events like everything else. Then, of course, you're going to be able to campaigning spirit lockers. You can actually grind those out of different convoys and stuff as well. So those are some things to look at. Most of the stuff down in this lower time limited event, you can grind in the game. You don't have to buy it from him. You can actually end up getting the blueprint, and instead of paying 1,000 Kufa bars, maybe you go and you spend 80 monstrous teeth on something like that instead, or you spend some silver on it or whatever. You're going to be able to pick up those blueprints as well. 700 Phoenix Crest. This 700 Kufa bars for Phoenix Crest. I only just started using that on a sandbuck recently. It's not something I've really messed with a whole lot in the past. Is it worth 700 pieces of 8? Not to me. Or I'm sorry, 700 Kufa bars. Not to me. It's not, because it dropped from Lee. When Lee comes back around in there, Farmhurst, you're going to drop this armor like crazy. So, like I said, you can save you some money off of this stuff. The main armor that you are going to want to get in this game for solo or even together, but really solo farming, is called an Ouroboros armor. Now that is going to be, we'll bring up those stats here for you guys. This is going to be a great armor for solo farming or even farming with teams. Most of us use it with our solo stuff, and we'll switch to high DPS when we have a healer around. But like I said, you can continue to use it. You're going to pick up that blueprint at Lenitra, and we'll read these stats off to you. The Leviathan armor, I was never too big with it, never cared much for it. The Ouroboros armor, this is the one you want. It repairs your ship after bracing against enemy fire. For a percentage of what's been shot at you, you're going to do a heal. It's not a great percentage. It's never really worked that great, but it's okay. It doesn't do too bad. It's 15% of damage brace just converted into restoring whole health. It's not a whole lot of damage replenishment, just so you know, guys. Now, where it shines, though, is what's called restoration. It does 100 severe damage for every second. Now, with this armor, it's whether you're in combat or not, you're getting those heals. Now, they do, if you want to use a different type of an armor, like a Buccaneer's Oath or something that's going to give you those higher DPS values, or like a Stormwoven Symphony that gives you Crescendo, which is an AoE. There's a lot of different options out there. There is a furniture that you can actually build. It's called the Maintenance Forge, and you can build that here at the Carpenter. Now, the problem with it is it only heals your ship. Let's find it here for you. Yeah, Maintenance Forge. It does 1% of severe damage per second while out of combat. So you can't be in combat for this to heal. So, like I say, Ouroboros, you cannot go wrong with that. And you're better off to use your furniture slot for something else. So I do recommend that. Unless they just come out with like a really, really awesome armor that's going to really boost your weaponry and stuff, then you can swap one of that furniture out on there as well, unless you have a healer. But all right, guys, then we'll hop off here. Y'all have a wonderful day.